U.S. Department of Justice, the word primarily, and making other minor additions, was then provided to the New York Times. The full statement provided to the Times stated it was a short introductory meeting. I asked Jared and Paul to stop by. We primarily discussed a program about the adoption of Russian children that was active and popular with American families a year ago and was since ended by the Russian government. But it was not a campaign issue at the time and there was no follow-up. I was asked to attend the meeting by an acquaintance, but was not told the name of the person I would be meeting with beforehand. The statement did not mention the offer of derogatory information about Clinton or any discussion of the Magnitsky Act or U.S. sanctions, which were the principal subjects of the meetings as described in Volume 1, Section 4, 5, Supra. A short while later, while still on Air Force One, Hicks learned that Priebus knew about the emails, which further convinced her that additional information about the June 9th meeting would leak, and the White House should be proactive and get in front of the story. Hicks recalled again going to the president to urge him that they should be fully transparent about the June 9th meeting, but he again said no, telling Hicks, "You've given a statement, we're done." Later on, the flight home, Hicks went to the president's cabin where the president was on the phone with one of his personal attorneys. At one point, the president handed the phone to Hicks, and the attorney told Hicks that he had been working with Circa News on a separate story and that she should not talk to the New York Times. The media reports on the June 9th, 2016 meeting. Before the president's flight home from the G20 landed, the New York Times published its story about the June 9, 2016 meeting. In addition to the statement from Trump Jr., the Times story also quoted a statement from Corallo on behalf of the president's legal team, suggesting that the meeting might have been a setup by individuals working with the firm that produced the Steele reporting. Corallo also worked with Circa News on a story published an hour later that question whether Democratic operatives had arranged the June 9th meeting to create the appearance of improper connections between Russia and Trump family members. Hicks was upset about Corallo's public statement and called him that evening to say the president had not approved the statement. The next day, July 9th, 2017, Hicks and the presidents called Corallo together, and the president criticized Corallo for the statement he had released. Corallo told the president the statement had been authorized and further observed that Trump Jr.'s statement was inaccurate and that a document existed that would contradict it. Corallo said that he purposely used the term document to refer to the email setting up the June 9th meeting because he did not know what the president knew about the emails. Corallo recalled that when we referred to the document on the call with the president, Hicks responded that only a few people had access to it and said it will never get out. Corallo took contemporaneous notes on the call and the call that say, also mention existence of doc. Hope says only a few people have it. It will never get out. Hicks later told investigators that she had no memory of making that comment and had always believed the emails would eventually be leaked. But she might have been channeling the president on the phone call because it was clear to her throughout her conversation with the president that he did not think the emails would leak. On June 11th, 2017, Trump Jr. posted redacted images of the email setting up the June 9th meeting on Twitter. The New York Times reported that he did after being told that the Times was about to publish the content of the emails. Later that day, the media reported that the president had been personally involved in preparing Trump Jr.'s initial statement to the New York Times that had claimed the meeting primarily concerned a program about the adoption of Russian children. Over the next several days, the president's personal counsel repeatedly and inaccurately denied that the president played any role in drafting Trump Jr.'s statement. After consulting with the president on the issue, White House Press Secretary Sarah Sanders told the media that the president certainly didn't dictate the statement, but that he weighed in, offered suggestions like any father would do. Several months later, the president's personal counsel stated in a private communication to the special counsel's office that, quote, the president dictated a short but accurate response to the New York Times article on behalf of his son, Donald Trump Jr., end quote. The president later told the press that it was irrelevant whether he dictated the statement and said, it's a statement to the New York Times. That's not a statement to a high tribunal of judges. On July 12, 2017, the special counsel's office, Trump Jr., related to the June 9th meeting and those who attended the June 9th meeting. On July 19th, 2017, the president had his follow-up meeting with Lewandowski and then met with the reporters for the New York Times. In addition to criticizing Sessions in his Times interview, the president addressed the June 9, 2016 meeting, and he said, didn't know anything about the meeting at the time. The president added, and as I've said, most other people you know when they call up and say, by the way, we have information on your opponent. I think most politicians, I was just with a lot of people, they said, who wouldn't have taken a meeting like that. Analysis. In analyzing the president's actions regarding the disclosure of information about the June 9th meeting, the following evidence is relevant to the elements of obstruction of justice, obstructive act, or on at least 3 occasions between June 29th, 2017 and July 9th, 2017, the president directed Hicks and others not to publicly disclose information about the June